Today is the third episode of Battle Talks Live. It is based on my Warplanes EP that I put out not too long ago. The EP, as you guys probably know, is all about hate, betrayal, violence, all the bad things in life, and it's a little bit more of an aggressive record. So I've got some aggressive guests, and one of my favorite drummers, Darren King. He not only was one of the founding members of Mute Math, but he also is a songwriter and producer and artist. DK the drummer, if you guys have seen him live, it's incredible. He also has written some cool stuff like Kanye West's Real Friends. He wrote on that. And a Travis Scott song with Kanye. He did something with them. And he also, if you guys are producers, he also worked on, well, has done tons of samples with That Sound, which is now on Splice. So he's just a beast, and I'm going to go ahead and bring him on. I just wanted to intro him, but let's bring him on. Here we go. World famous Darren King. Here we go. All right.
Damn.
What's up, man? Look
How's
at
it
that.
going?
Hey.
How's my fellow red beard?
Hey, I was just admiring your beard when you took a picture and sent it to me. I was like, dang, that beard is looking fierce, bro.
You weren't supposed to tell them about the pictures I've been sending you.
Well, I didn't tell them about those, not those. We'll leave those alone. Man, what is going on? Are you at the Capitol right now?
I am. I'm at the People's Plaza, the newly renamed Ida B. Wells Plaza.
That's amazing. Amazing. Dude, yeah, when you told me you were down there with the protesting, I was like, incredible. I saw you bring out you had like this little set of drums that you were walking with too, right?
That's right. Every day it's getting bigger. A couple days ago, I just had a little tom and a snare. And then today I brought a full kit with me. I've got my roto toms that my father-in-law gave me. We're kicking it. I've been drumming. To be honest with you, I just had what I think is probably my most meaningful, one of my top 5 meaningful musical moments in my life. Like I was, all the protesters are on the opposite side.
Yeah.
And they're all just beautiful people, beloved community, that just want equal rights, that just want to stop getting killed.
Yeah.
And I got to drum along with them as they chanted. And I can count on my right hand, only a few experiences that were as beautiful and adrenalizing.
Yes, dude. I mean, this feels
chant
like
and drum along with them.
This is a moment in history that we're all living in. It's going to be, they're going to write stories about all this stuff in the history books. It's going to be crazy. I mean, I have a feeling this feels like, I mean, I don't know how you feel about it, but it's like, this feels like a turning point. I know there's been so many of these moments, but this feels, I don't know, this feels like next level. I don't know.
Yeah, there's an old quote, and I don't know who to attribute it to. I'm sorry, but the quote is, there are years that ask questions and there are years that answer them. I think we're in one of the answer years.
For real, it feels like all the seeds planted, all the seeds watered, all the harvest is like this year we're getting all that up. Like it seems like all the groundwork that tons of black leaders and white leaders have laid to try to get equal rights is happening. It's starting to kind of like really take place. So, I mean, there's still horrible things happening, but I'm hopeful.
I appreciate your optimism. I have to say that sometimes I feel pretty discouraged whenever I consider. It sort of reminds me of whenever my wife and I found a 100-year-old house out in Madison, north of Nashville.
Yeah.
And it was in real disrepair. We got it for super cheap, and we thought, yeah, we'll fix that up, having had no prior handy experience.
Oh my gosh.
And you know what happens when you start to peel back that first layer of plaster or drywall, and you realize, oh, okay, this is rotten underneath. This is rotten down to the bottom. And I think that a lot of us are tuning in for the first time, where there have been black people who have lived this reality from their childhood.
I know.
I know that my ego and I was raised to be taught that I was supposed to fix things. My my ego can sometimes want to jump in and take the reins.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
and
yeah.
and what I've realized is that there are countless Black men and women who have been working for decades.
Yeah.
And,
It's true.
Centuries. And there are a few in particular here in Nashville. There's a man named Justin Jones. I believe he goes by Brother Jones, and I believe that he understands. I think he's really smart. He's only 24. And do you mind if I pace? Is this annoying?
No, you're good. It doesn't bother me.
He's 24 years old, and I think that he is just exceptionally compassionate and intelligent. He's now for 4 days led a sit-in here at the newly renamed Ida B. Wells Plaza.
Wow.
And I hope to get to continue to support him. And so for anyone watching this, I would encourage you to find Brother Jones on Instagram and Twitter. He has the same handle. And see how you can come alongside him in his struggle and support him. Find out what he needs. I believe that he's the type of person who wants to take direct action and not just make symbolic gestures.
Man, that's one thing I feel like I'm learning is I'm trying to shut up myself a bit. Like I want to have opinions and I want to have thoughts and whatever else, but I'm trying to shut up and listen, like really take in what they have to say, because they've been, like you said, experiencing it their whole lives, and so I'm like, okay, I'm like, I need to just follow some Black leaders and soak up what they're saying and really let it sink in. You know what I mean? Because I feel like for me, I'm from Atlanta, so I don't know what I thought, but I'm from Atlanta, so there was a lot of like very wealthy, like very powerful, very awesome Black people, there. And I just thought that maybe it wasn't, this sounds so ignorant, but it's like maybe I thought there wasn't an issue anymore as much. And now I'm absolutely awakening to there absolutely is,
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. And I know that it's difficult because you awaken to something, the scales fall off your eyes.
Yeah.
And suddenly you want to rush in to battle. You want to you want to assuage yourself of all your guilt and your shame. And in reality, there's a Bob Dylan lyric. He says, I'll know my song well before I start singing it, right? And hard rain's gonna fall.
Yeah.
I'll know my song well before I start singing it. And I love that lyric. And I think that that's a really important element and step. But men in particular, we are at a disadvantage just because we're taught to clamp down. We're taught to not be sensitive.
Yeah.
We are taught that sensitivity is a weakness. In reality, I think sensitivity and fragility are opposites. I think that sensitivity is strength. And I think that often our fragility is actually what makes us try to be such badasses.
I agree.
It has nothing to do with strength. I think strength and sensitivity go hand in hand. And so I think Black people get frustrated at fragility.
Yeah.
They need for us to start becoming sensitive.
Yes.
And just care.
For real.
Care.
Yeah. Well, it's awesome to see you out there doing that too, man.
Thank you.
You've got a lot of things you could be doing, and to be out there doing that is pretty great. So
yeah, I'm getting to drum though, so I'm having the time of my life. I've not been getting to play. I've been producing, and I've been, ever since March, whenever we locked everything down. It's been me and my wife and our 2 kids. We've just been holding it down.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. I know we've been trapped inside for a long time. I finally started kind of venturing out a little bit, and it's been, interesting getting back into the mix. But well, I'll get you right into this. I was going to ask you, give me so this might be annoying, but tell me a little bit about the early days of Mute Math. Like, did y'all fight to earn your place in music, or was it kind of an easy road?
Well, we never did anything the easy way. We always picked what seems to be a tough road. I grew up deeply entrenched in contemporary Christian, Pentecostal, not Pentecostal, but we would have called it charismatic. What they call the Word of Faith. Great kind of fun to be the drummer. You get to go off and go wild, you know. And it's gonna be
Yeah.
dark. So it's gonna be dark for just a second. I'm gonna walk to a
That's all
place
good.
more lit. There were a bunch of Rangers, what are they called? You know, state troopers.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Started walking toward me, so I thought maybe I better just leave them be. So pardon the darkness. I'll get back to Andrew Jackson over here for a second.
You're good. You're good.
Yeah, Mute Math, man. We started out in church, and really it was born out of the ashes of a band called Earthsuit that was on Sparrow Records. They were a CCM act.
Can you guys like have a bad band name? I feel like all my band names were horrible. You guys have all sick band names. Get out of here with that.
Mute Math was actually tricky because people never got it right the first time we said it. It was always Mute Meth or Bath or Mouth. I never felt like that was actually a strength, but thank you. It was my email address. That's
what?
That's what Mute Math was my email.
That's hilarious. That's funny.
And it was the two of us. It was Earthsuit broke up, and everyone went separate ways. I was never officially in. I was always just on the outskirts of that band because I was still in school. But yeah, it came out of initially. I don't know. We started being Paul and I were producers, did a producer duo, and it kind of naturally evolved into a band. But it totally was rooted in church. There's no need to even try to hide or disguise that. That was my entire world in life and culture.
Yeah,
was Midwestern, and I mean, we don't have to go there if you don't want to. But
no, I'm fine.
Unpack.
Do you feel like you're? Did you have a bad experience that you feel like you're recovering from, or did you feel like?
I think that the best word that I've found to describe my experience was marbled, because the good and the bad of it were so swirled together.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That it was just impossible to separate it. Now, I don't know if you remember the verse, "Let the wheat and chaff grow together until the day of harvest." Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all you can do whenever it was such a mix of beauty.
Yeah.
I mean, transcendent experiences, beautiful moments, combined with just abuse. I mean, just there's no other word for it.
Yeah, like spiritual abuse.
Yeah. I've learned to call it that, and a shame. You know, a lot of stuff that's pretty hard to put on an ambitious little 13-year-old that takes everything that you're saying really literally. Greater works than me shall you do. I took that one literally. I'm like, all right, raise the dead. Okay. All right then, you know, thanks, man. Thank you. You know, I was like, if I need to be one of those, I need to be a prophet. I need to, so I would go to school with my Bible. I was intense. I would like stand on the table and yell hypocrite sometimes, you know.
What? Oh my gosh.
Like, I was just like, I had various stages. You know, I'd go to an Acquire the Fire rally and then come back all radicalized and all that.
Do you feel like, though, like you said, the marbleizing, like, do you feel like the good side of it is that maybe you've got some compassion and some, hopefully you followed Jesus in the sense of like his love for the suffering and, you know, that kind of thing? Is that where you feel like?
Well, no, I have to be honest with you. My story is more sad than, like, especially right now. It's mostly I mourn. I mourn for the Jesus that I thought I had. I saw a stat the other day that if you were to take all the Christians in the world and divide them into just 100, like the stat was only 1 out of every 10 Christians in the world speaks English, right? Most of the Christianity in the world is not American evangelical capitalist Christianity. And I think that the Jesus I knew was on the wrong side of the tables getting flipped over, you know, in the marketplace. And my Jesus had to, you know, I feel he failed me. I feel he abandoned me. And I'm not saying that's the true Jesus, or that's the Jesus that black people have, or the Jesus that other people in other countries have. But my Jesus was he hurt me. You know? He touched me.
Oh gosh.
You know, he touched me inappropriately. No, the big, if you want to talk about the bad things,
Yeah.
people use the term purity culture, right?
Yeah.
And I don't. I would like to revise that because I want the word purity to stay pure.
Yeah.
I would rather call it piety
Mm.
culture, or piety pressure.
Mm.
And it had so much to do with sex
Man.
and really, I mean, any joys and pleasures. Beat
Yeah.
my body and make it a slave was
Mm.
that was my vibe. A punishing of
Jeez.
myself. Locusts and honey.
So very like religious upbringing, like really
Super
strict.
intense,
Wow.
hardcore, like
Wow.
yeah, like really sexual repressed. They would use the term like sexual anorexia to describe my total forced.
I will say that's one thing, I wish we're going to go there, but that's one thing I feel like I wish there would have been more in my culture, and which I'm going to, instill in my kids' culture, is just like age appropriate sexuality, talking about sex, age appropriate. And I feel like that's one way I feel like my community, my church, that whole thing kind of failed me in that way. Cause I feel like I got into this group of kids and like I started learning all that crap from kids, and it was just like, it's just not how it should have been. And I think if there wasn't such a stigma around all that, I feel like I would have actually learned age appropriate talk about that, and
Yeah, and
that's nothing.
I've learned, I've gotten past that teenager phase of
Yeah.
thinking that now I've got it figured out, and my parents' generation had it all wrong,
Yeah.
and that I should look down on them.
Yeah.
I am thankful for their advancements.
Yeah.
I see the culture that I was raised in as an overcorrection of the free love movement of the 60s,
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
the STD crisis that came from that.
Yeah.
So it's easy for me to have patience for my parents.
That makes sense. That
That
makes sense.
they were just trying their best to
And
protect us
that's the
with
thing. I feel like with a lot of this stuff, I've had definitely my own experience with God, all that kind of stuff, and I think that for me, I definitely had to find everything on my own. I think I was in that whole like religious stuff, and just I knew all the verses, I knew all the things, and it just never really sunk into my heart. And I never really had an experience with God, period. I mean, I might as well not even have known a God, because it was just more of in a textbook kind of format. And I had my own kind of like really spiritual, deep kind of awakening when I was like more of an adult, but gosh, I went through some of the same things. I had a lot of spiritual abuse, and I had a lot of, my stepdad was, he was, for sure abusive and all that kind of stuff. But I think at the end of the day, like you said, it's like people were doing the best they could be doing. I'm thankful for some of the things that happen. I'm sad about some of the other things that happen. And I hope that like I can do better for my kids. I hope that I can do better for myself, and I'm still, the fact that I can still believe in God, period, for me, I think is a miracle. And that in of itself feels like a miracle to me. So I'm with you. I'm with you in that way.
Someone's asking if I was involved with the Toronto or Pensacola stuff. And yeah, I grew up in Missouri. That was totally my scene. And it's been disheartening for me to watch that culture, that movement really essentially come into power and have a moment at the reins, at the helm of our country. I feel like I've been actually watching since season 1, episode 1, of this white supremacist,
Jeez.
This white supremacist, capitalist, marketed form of Christianity. And there are always the good ones. There's always a rebirth happening. There are people there, and I've been pretty pessimistic and discouraged sometimes in recent years, and I'm just realizing that the beloved community is not where I'm always expecting it will be.
Yeah.
And you have to search for it to find it.
Yeah.
How old are your children?
I have a 7-year-old girl, a 3-year-old, and then a 5-month-old.
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
A 7-year-old, 3-year-old girl, and then a 5-month-old boy.
5-month-old.
Yeah.
Wow. So yeah, I have a 7-year-old and a 3-year-old as well.
Oh, get out of here.
2 daughters.
That's amazing.
And it has been redemptive. I'll tell you, the redemption for me has come from getting to tell them a different story, getting to decide where I want to guide them, and to dismantle that shame, that toxic shame that I was raised in, and it feels like revenge.
I think what's crazy, revenge. That's amazing. I mean, what's crazy to me is that, like, when you, I mean, this is controversial, so whatever. But I feel like when you actually read the Bible, like, there are verses like, "There's no condemnation in Christ." Like, if there's no condemnation in Christ, that means there's no shame. Like, so why is there so much shame? You know? So I'm like, I feel some of those things. I've battled with some of those things of like, okay, I'm going to believe the Bible over what Christian culture is, over American Christian culture, because I think there is no condemnation. So, like, we don't need to have shame. I don't want to shame my kids about, you know, questions they have about God, or how they feel about, you know, whatever. You know what I mean?
Or that it's okay, or that it's okay for them to make themselves feel good.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's okay. And you don't have to wait until you're 25 to find that out.
Man, I want my kids to love their life. I want my kids to love their life, for sure.
That's right. That's right.
For sure. Okay, I'm going to get on to my next question here.
There's a part of that that's hard, because I feel that, much like my parents probably overcorrected with good intentions, and I'm thankful for the ways that they carried me through the desert that they were in. Like each generation, right?
Yeah.
Well, I know that I'm somehow overcorrecting. I'm probably Stacy and I are pretty insular and isolated, and I'm not by nature. I'm one of the most, like, hungry for attention people you'll ever meet, and anxious to meet everyone and to be friends with everyone at a level that is not healthy or sustainable. And Stacy certainly helped me rein that in. But she, polar opposite, it needs very few and desires very few people. She's an artist. Everything she needs, she's an artist. She don't look back. She just wants a few people in her life. So we keep it pretty tight knit, and finding community doesn't come naturally to us as a family. And I miss that. I miss community. I miss being somewhere on a Sunday. I miss knowing where my place is. I miss knowing that I'm okay in this gang. You know, I miss having a gang. Being in a band should be like that. Being a gang, sadly.
I always say it's like a motorcycle gang. You should have, like, it feels like you have motorcycle jackets, and you're like, I'm in a gang when you're in a band, you know? Yeah, you know, people sometimes in bands use the analogy that being in a band is like being in a family, or it's like being a marriage. Yeah. And if that's the case, then that's not healthy. Yeah. No. Bands shouldn't feel like that. Being in a band should feel like you all are like a motorcycle gang. You nailed it. Yeah. It's like a club. You ready to rumble? Okay, I'm gonna ask you a couple more questions. Okay. We do it for Johnny. Here we go. Caught that reference, right? I did. I got the reference. Where did you kind of come up with your crazy style of drumming? Like, what influenced you to do that? To go wild? It was the sexual repression. What? Really? It was directly like, I needed an outlet. I'm sorry, but if you want to know the truth, that's why I said all of that, was because he's spilling the tea. This question was coming. Spilling the tea. Just like, it's like this. Like, okay, let's say you got a tube of toothpaste. Yeah. And you take the lid off, and you squeeze it. Yeah. The toothpaste comes out the expected place, right? Yeah. But if you clamp the lid down, and then maybe like put a vice grip on top of that as well, and then squeeze it hard enough, the toothpaste will eventually come out in some other way. And thankfully for me, it came out in drumming. And if I didn't have drums, I'm sure I would have been. I just would have been a really, I would have been in bad shape. Man, so that was it. I got picked on a lot as a kid. Yeah. I went to this charismatic church where they let me go off on drums behind the sneeze guard plastic thing. Oh my God! And where they would worship and praise for so long, for hours. And so drums were salvation to me. Drums were church. Drums were this spiritual thing, and I would go off, a transcendent. A lot of times in Mute Mass shows, I had mantras that I would say to myself, little prayers, little thoughts that would match the beat. And my favorite moments were actually not the moments where I was doing a bunch of fills or
going off. It was whenever we would settle into something that was circular,
Yeah.
like a James Brown groove, like those
Yeah.
grooves would simmer for 5 minutes. And there's something about that, like playing it at minute number 4 is different than minute number 1. And those were the transcendent experiences, and I miss that. I'm hopeful that, man, I need to go to a show. I want to play a show. I need some concerts now.
Are you originally from Texas?
Missouri.
Okay.
My wife's from Texas.
Okay, that's right. Your wife's from Texas. Okay, yeah, I know there's like a Tyler, Texas crew. I didn't know if you were part of the Tyler, Texas
that's where
crew.
she's from.
Okay, awesome. So I've got to ask you about this because I'm curious myself and I want to know, how did the whole Kanye West thing happen? How did the Real Friends thing happen?
Through Max Bemis, my brother-in-law. So I love telling this story because it's so weird.
I love it.
I have other friends that have Kanye stories, and no surprise, every Kanye story is absurd. It's just crazy. And my story is just crazy. So my buddy Max Bemis, my brother-in-law, has a band called Say Anything. This is Max,
absolutely.
Right? So Max is best friends with a lot of LA people. He grew up in LA. He's friends with Max Winkler, who is the Fonz's son.
Okay.
And Max Winkler's girlfriend is best friends with Kim Kardashian. And one day Max Winkler was hanging out with Kanye, and Kanye, out of the blue, said, "I'm going to write a comic book." And Max Winkler said, my buddy Max writes comic books he writes X-Men comics and writes for Marvel and DC.
What?
And Max is really talented at that. So Kanye said, "Well, fly him up here." So Max Bemis, my brother, just got a text message from Kanye asking if he could fly up tomorrow. And Max and I were hanging out when he got it, and he's like, "Darren, let's make a song and take it. You want to come with?" He's like, "Sure." So we bought flights to LA.
Oh my gosh.
That night, and then we stayed up all night making a track. And then the next morning, we flew out to LA, and he met with Kanye, and they talked about writing comic books. And then that night, I went to this little studio, and I walked in the studio, and there's Kanye, and his engineers. There's Noah Goldstein and Mike Dean. It's Mike Dean's cloud of smoke that follows him everywhere we go. Fonz was in there. It's this tiny room. And I walked in, I had all my gear with me, and all of a sudden they're like, "Hey, wait, hold on a second." And Kanye had his headphones on, the speakers were turned off. And Kanye goes into a mic, goes, "Sedama-hua, nida-lua, sedama-duda-sema, na-ida-ma-lua." Like that. That was his idea. So we put that in, and so we're all just like listening to that, like, okay. And then he takes his headphones out and goes, "Keep that." And, and then he introduces himself to us. And so I sit down on the couch, and they hand me the aux cable. And you know how in your MacBook, whenever you turn the volume up, it goes, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I started to turn my volume up, and Kanye's like, wait. And apparently his thing is that he hates that sound. So he took my laptop, and he went into the settings, and he muted the.
Oh my gosh.
They handed my laptop back to me, and then I played a track. I played the track Max and I wrote, and they bobbed their head, dude. They turned it down, and we listened at a moderate volume.
Oh my gosh.
And then I was like, "Hey, do you mind if I play another track for you?" And I played this other track that later became a Mute Math song called "War" that was on Play Dead. So I played him this track, and Kanye's response was really favorable. He's like, "That sounds like Black Keys. That could work loud. I like that." He complimented it. But they played my songs at a really medium volume, okay?
Yeah.
And so then, that was while they were doing 4 or 5 seconds. They were writing for Rihanna at the time, and they showed like, "Hey, Noah, play Darren the song we're working on right now." And they played their track, and there were these huge speakers, and they switched it to the huge speakers. And I've never been in such a loud, small room. They played their song so much louder than mine.
Oh my
so
gosh.
unfairly. And the second their track came on, everyone else stood up. Well, not Mike Dean. He stayed seated. Noah stayed seated. But Kanye and all his hype people, they all hopped up like this. And they just started like basically just dancing on me. Like they started with their bodies projecting the track at me, just playing, you know, like just exactly like you would expect Kanye to vibe out
Yeah.
so hard on
Yeah.
his own song
Yeah.
for you. He
That makes
performed
sense.
it for me. So I got like basically like a lap dance from Kanye. Yeah. And then they played me another track that had a sample in it that I just knew, like, there's no way that that sample is going to get cleared. So I documented that in my mind.
What?
And then I went home and I and I, you know, I'm sorry, they're chanting. It got me excited. I called Noah and I asked him if he was going to need a sample replay of that track.
Yeah.
Because I just know certain artists don't clear samples.
Yeah.
So he's like, yeah, man, actually that'd be great. So I went to work on doing some guitar, bass, and drums to replace their sample. And then I did what they call an interpolation, you know, which is a similar enough song, but different, so that if they can't clear the, you know, the master or the publishing,
Yeah.
do something that's different enough they won't get sued, but in the vibe. And they ended up using my interpolation. They called me the day that it came out, essentially, like, oh, this song's coming out in a week and we're using your stuff. We need your publishing info. And I was like, okay, great. I never heard it. I didn't hear it. I didn't hear what they did until it was out, you know? And then from that point on, I became their sample replay guy. And so around midnight, once a week at my home, I would get a text message from one of his engineers giving me such a strange and unique request. Like one time they sent me the vocal for a song called Wolves.
Yeah.
And the instruction was, make it sound like Jim Morrison. It's like this auto-tune Kanye.
What?
Like, an auto-tune Kanye vocal's never gonna sound like you take a long holiday. Like, there's
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
I texted him back, like, you want me to re-sing it? And I was like, no, just do like a vocal treatment. Like, what vocal? What are you gonna? There's no Jim Morrison plug-in. It's auto-tuned and it's Kanye. It's like, I can't make your, turn that building into a log cabin. It's like not happening, you know. So I just ran it through like an amplifier and I sent it back to him, and I'd always just get a text that said dope, and that was it. I was like, okay, well, I guess they liked that.
Oh my gosh.
And there was no agreement. I just about 12 times I did that. And one time they sent me a piano.
Yeah.
Piano part. I did the same thing. I did a replay of the piano part.
Yeah.
And then I did an interpolation of it, some new chords and other vibes on it.
Yeah.
And they ended up using that. Same thing. I was walking around downtown. I was on a daddy-daughter date with my daughter, who was now 7. She was like 3 at the time.
Yeah.
She was on my shoulders. We were going to get ice cream. And I got a phone call. Like, hey, Darren, I got some good news for you. It was Noah, the engineer. It's like what? Oh, cool. It's like, we used your stuff. I'm like, oh, great. When does it come out? He's like, it came out today.
Oh my
gosh. Okay, great, cool. And it took me like 3 years to get paid.
What?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Absolutely. And I want to say about him, I want to say about Kanye, that he was very kind.
Yeah.
He would hype you up as much as he would hype himself up. I was only in the studio with him twice.
Yeah.
I was in the studio with him once when I first met him, and then I was there for the very first day of the Life of Pablo sessions, but Mute Math went on tour the following day. So I was there for day 1 of Life of Pablo.
Dang.
And that was a circus. It was absolute pandemonium. and I'll never forget, Noah reintroduced me to Kanye and he had like the Michael Jackson Thriller jacket on. And he just Kanye looked at me in the eyes and he just goes, let's murder this. That's how we started the session. He got as close to me as possible. He's like, let's murder this.
Oh my gosh.
And he was really nice. He's bipolar.
That's sick.
He's bipolar.
Yeah.
And so I do not, of course, agree with so much of the things that he says and supports currently. Yeah. But I revere his music, and I also believe that we have to have grace and patience for people with mental illness.
I agree.
And we need to
I agree.
And accept that. So I'm thankful that he began to talk about that, because
I
have other people in my life who are bipolar, and from my sessions with him, and maybe this is careless of me to say, I hope it's not ableist, there's a vibe. He would be up and down, way up, and then sleep, and then hype, and so I think that's connected to the music. That's why his music sounds the way it is.
Man,
that's why our music doesn't sound like that.
Yeah.
I think he's special.
That's true, man. So I have two questions I ask everybody who comes on this Battle Talks live thing. The first one I feel like we kind of covered a little bit, which was what was your biggest personal struggle and the battle it took to overcome it. I feel like we kind of covered that in the beginning.
Yes, but there's another element. I mean, yes,
Yeah,
it was
give it.
definitely that piety,
Yeah,
culture, pressure,
yeah,
but another part of it is there's always something new. And for me right now, I'm wrestling with, since I left my band,
yeah.
and since I had to leave it abruptly and out of necessity for my own health,
Hmm.
I have struggled with letting go of my clout and status,
Hmm.
my positioning. I'll meet people now who treat me a certain way, and then find out that, oh, you're the drummer for Meat Math, treat me differently immediately after, and that stings a little bit.
So weird.
And I miss, sometimes having that certainty, or even just getting to play the shows.
Yeah, yeah.
I am healthier now. Without going into it too much, it was a very unhealthy arrangement, and the business of
Yeah.
it was especially unhealthy.
Hmm.
I signed some of the most predatory contracts that I know a few people who have signed contracts as bad as mine, but mine were really bad.
Dang.
I mean, I signed some work for hires, man.
Yeah.
I signed it all the way.
Dang.
In those early days.
I found the first person I interviewed for this was Richard Patrick, who's from Filter, and he told me some stories about Trent Reznor. He said that Trent literally signed all of his publishing for the first 3 records for like 15 grand or something crazy. And the crazy thing is, though, I asked him why, and he said, well, we just didn't think that we'd be alive past 30, so we wouldn't need it. And I was like, shit, that's crazy.
When you're 21, that's like,
yeah,
15 grand?
Yeah, he was like
a year. I could live on that for a year. You're like, what? Awesome. Yeah.
I mean,
got that Old Town Road money now.
For real. I know it's crazy that his first #1 is off some sample with a rapper who did a country rap song. I'm like, that's insane.
Trent's not hurting now.
No.
So yeah. But so there's an ego thing, and I'm struggling with. I really struggle now with. I feel proud that I've prioritized my daughters.
Yeah.
And that I, over the last 2 years in particular, have done everything that I know to create secure attachment and foster and love, and be really cognizant of what a brief time this is, where I have this chance to have them. It's for me, not just them. It's for me that I get to have them now and be with them. And have them need me and depend on me.
That's so good, dude. That's the
good part. The bad part is, like, I just feel oftentimes that in so many other areas of my life, I'm just a mess. Yeah. I'm just a mess, and I'm not moving it fast enough. Been working on this solo record for years now. I'm close to being done. But if I'm honest with you, I feel so discouraged. I don't know how to start from scratch.
Yeah.
At 37, how to release the record. Am I going to get to tour it? Can I tour it with my family? Is there a way to create a live show that's, that I don't sing really?
Yeah, I saw these live shows. I watched them online. They're pretty dope, though, dude.
Thank you.
That one you did, the one shot that you did with Freedom, that Freedom song, where you're singing Freedom and you're playing drums. I was like, are you kidding me? I didn't know you could sing. So
maybe I can sing a little.
Yes, bro.
If I could do it over again, I would get some vocal lessons. Would you give me vocal lessons, Sam?
Anytime. I'll give you some vocal lessons. Anytime.
Are you a drummer?
No, I suck at drums, so you can help me with some drums.
Yeah, it's the best seat in the house for sure.
Honestly, I wanted to be a drummer, but my grandma, she didn't like the idea of everything being so loud. So she was like, here, you can get a little practice pad and some sticks. And I'm like, this sucks. I'm like, I don't want to be a drummer anymore. Because I thought at the time, it was like, you give me a little tiny practice pad and some sticks. I'm like, this sucks. I hate this, So we moved on to guitars. But
I should say, like, last fall, I got to tour again. I got to play drums for a gentleman named Alejandro Aranda, who goes by Scarypoolparty.
Oh, yeah.
And he is the most generous man. Listen to what he did. He let me be his drummer. He let Stacy and I, as Sucre, be the opening act.
Wow.
And he let me bring my 2 daughters on his bus.
Wow.
So he gave us 2 bunks. Stacy and Scarlett slept in one. Solène, the youngest,
Wow.
slept in another bunk. And then he bought us a Nintendo Switch on the last day of the tour, which in quarantine,
Yeah.
has been clutch.
Bro, I just hooked my Switch up to my living room TV, and I'm like, we've been playing Mario Kart and all sorts of stuff. Dude, that sounds amazing. I saw the video of you guys where he was doing that one thing with the piano, like going, like, what the hell? Is that real? Is he really doing that?
Yeah, he lives double speed. He's a monster, and is so kind. He's exactly that. You'll meet that meek, quiet person, and then they get on their instrument and they're a tornado. He's like that. I love people like that. I'll never get tired of that. That's like
so sick.
Real gentle, quiet soul, and then they get on stage and you're like, whoa,
animal.
Okay. Yeah, you play Breath of the Wild. Have you played Breath of the Wild?
Yes, I have. I need to start over to where I can just like fully focus on it, because it's like engulfing, you know.
Yeah, that's my game. I play Rocket League. That's what I do for fun. But yeah, I mean, my struggle is, I'm trying to, before I try to work on anyone else, look at all the things in me. Like as we're talking about all the ways in which our government and country is built on paranoia, on back-end solutions, and on and on intimidation, to put it lightly.
Yeah.
You'd say white supremacy, if we're honest.
Yeah.
In tandem with confronting that, it's probably good for me to take a moment and acknowledge the ways that I am that, and the way that I bring that into my own home, the way that I might be that as a parent, or I don't know, man. One thing I struggle with is just is balance. Like, I am not good at that. I'm for whatever reason just kind of intense, and I'll get on a thing, I'll go hard for a week, burn out, freak out. Like, nuance and balance is,
So you're kind of all in or all out.
Say that. Yeah.
Are you all in or all out? Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Which, I mean, has its benefits. It has its benefits on the drums, or I don't know, like if you're playing football, whatever. You're like, I want you to go like run into that person. You're like, okay. Right? I'm easily. You can get me.
They say that, like, I don't know if you watched The Last Dance, but they said the superpower that Michael Jordan had wasn't his skills, but actually his ability to be present in the moment, which I was like very convicted about that. I was like, whoa, I'm not present in the moment. But also I see it. I mean, when he's playing the game, that's where he's at. Like, it's almost like, I feel like when I watch you play drums, it seems like you're pretty present in that moment when you're playing drums.
Yeah. Yep. And I got away from it. And I produce for like the last decade, producing and trying to write music and make music in my computer and with my sampler, and on other instruments, has been my primary thing and my real joy.
Yeah.
But every now and then I still go out to the shed and I'll go play drums a little bit, and I'll be like, oh yeah, this is my first love. This was my first way of decompressing. I need to never forget this. I was a latchkey kid,
Yeah.
I would come home from school. I had an Australian Shepherd named Henry, and then I had a drum kit. In between those two, wonderful, my awesome dog and my Pearl Forum kit had his cymbals that, like if you hit it hard enough, it would flip inside out like instant china.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
I'll tell you you want to know my other battle, right? My other struggle is just my freaking phone, man.
I get that.
I'm not good at my sleep hygiene, just like being on my phone late at night.
Yeah.
Especially since COVID-19.
Gosh, I know.
I wish I could just hire somebody to slap me on the back of the head.
I feel like I have my wife to do that. Does your wife bug you about it too, though?
No.
Yeah, my wife is like, put the phone down.
I'll tell you something about me and Stacy is that, and we acknowledge this, and I'm proud of this. We are not compatible, right? We are not. We do not have a high. What's the word for just like natural? Like if we were both to take some kind of like test.
Yeah.
Online dating.
Yeah.
The test would say, like,
don't do it.
No, y'all don't. But in replacement for that compatibility, there's just a lot of love. I just love her, obsessed.
Yeah,
obsessed with singers. So we always repair.
I was gonna ask you about that. I was like, was it like you guys are
Oh my
both
gosh.
to me like musical prodigies to me. Like when I see her voice and her musical skills and your drumming and everything else, like, was that what attracted you? Is that what brought you in? Like, was like, oh my gosh, here's this beautiful girl singing beautifully.
100 Reasons to Love Her. I mean, she was so mysterious to me. We toured together in 2007.
Yeah.
And she had just avoided me like I was the plague. She was so quiet and brooding, and I was so, goofy and talkative.
Yeah.
And it just bothered me that she wouldn't give me all of her attention, and that opposites did attract in that way entirely. But the other element was when I heard her songs, when I heard her sing. She had this song called Just Like We Do that she wrote when she was 14.
Crazy.
And I used to drive around in my little Honda CRX and listen to it. Just thinking, what a beautiful conceptualization of love and pure love that song was.
Yeah.
And still to this day, there are times where Stacy, as a favor to me, will use that as a lullaby for our daughters.
Oh.
And that's like some heavy moment. That's some real beautiful stuff for me.
That's crazy.
To hear it live,
Yeah.
And so, as singers, I'm just a weird, like, that's one of my fetishes, like people who can sing, man. That's
amazing. Yeah.
Just real beautiful voices. I'm just a sucker for that. So that's my favorite thing, because I don't sing great. I just make tracks and work with singers,
Yeah.
That's.
I heard her voice for the first time with Isley with that because she sings that Marvelous Things song, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the first song I heard from her, and I was like, who is this girl singing this song? This is freaking amazing, And then when I researched it, how young they were, and like, I mean, just to be able to have those kind of songwriting chops and singing chops like that young, I'm like, I don't know what the hell I was doing at that age, but it wasn't that.
Yeah, she was like 14 when she went on tour with Coldplay. She's something else. Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
I'll say this, she, more than any person I know, if she's not writing music, she's not herself. And I've learned that my greatest goal for her is to create space. Like, that's my duty as her husband, is to create space for her, to let that just like hair grow out of her head.
That's awesome.
The song. And if I want to know how she's really doing, I want to know how she really thinks, I can go check the song. I can go hear that song.
Man, I would love that. If my wife could just write a song and I could figure out what she's thinking by the lyrics of the song, that would be dope.
Yeah, I'll tell you, like, what I could never do is I could never date or marry someone if they were a musician who wrote songs I didn't like. I had a friend, I of course won't say who, but I remember when we were in our early 20s, that happened to him. He started having feelings for this young woman, and she was great. But then, like an episode of Seinfeld, they were hanging out, and she showed him a song that she wrote, and he was like,
"No,
I can't. This isn't gonna work. It's not gonna happen. I'm not gonna be. I care too much about music for this to be,
That's so
like,
funny. I always think about that. I'm like, I'm thankful my wife doesn't do music, because I'm like, I think if she, like you said, if she did music and I hated the music, I'd be so bummed. Pretending that you like it all the time, and
we had to get over. Collaborating with Stacy would be different. Like when you and I, hopefully, inevitably get together soon and write a track. If you tell me you don't like it, I'm like, that's fine, Sam.
Yeah.
You don't have to like it. But if Stacy, in the early days, I'm fine now. Like we've gotten over all that.
Yeah.
We worked through all that. But in the early days, if she said she didn't like my beat, I'm pretty sure what she really meant was she hated my body.
Yeah,
she hated me.
She hated all of you. You suck.
Or same thing, if I criticized or shut down, we had to learn how to make the song the priority and the thing. And now we're all good. We have collaborating with her is really fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's got to be so cool to be that intimately intertwined with someone on a physical level, spiritual level, musical level. Like, that's got to be pretty dope.
Yeah, she refused. Whenever we started dating, I thought let's make a song, and she said no, because I think for her, music and family and business were always intertwined.
I see.
Someone said, "Who wouldn't love a beat?" And I appreciate that, but like, you have to know, like, everybody has their dirty laundry drafts. Everybody has their folder of cinema. All their bad ideas. Like,
oh my gosh.
no, except like Stevie Wonder. I really believe like there are a few humans on this earth that only sit down and just greatness
I
pours
know.
forth out
I'm
of
not like that either. I feel like I always tell people are like, oh man, every song you write is this or whatever. I'm like, listen, I flush the turds. Like the turds happen, but I flush them, so
Yeah.
you don't get to hear any of that. Like,
Yeah.
I'm.
I PJ Morton, whom I consider a friend, and I got to play drums on a couple of his songs.
Yeah.
I think he's in that category of only does good things.
I hate those people. Get out of
pretty
here.
amazing, and then it goes up from there. You know,
Stupid. Yeah.
there's some of those guys.
The Ryan Tedders of the world. Get out of here with your amazing songs. Okay, I've got one more question. I think it's going to cut us off at 9:30, but I've got one more question for you.
Okay.
It's in a similar category, but what's your biggest professional struggle and the battle it took to overcome that?
It was quitting the band. And I want to be careful as I talk about this to make sure that I don't come across as resentful or a victim, because I am so thankful for the journey I got to have.
Absolutely.
I am so lucky that I got to tour and perform in India, Australia, Japan 6 times.
Crazy.
All over Europe, and then some of the most beautiful shows in all over America that I will never forget. And I'm proud of the records, proud of the songs, but I'm not proud of the business. I'm not proud of the business that we were, and I'm not proud of the way that we treated each other or the people that worked for us. And worked with us. I have a lot of regrets surrounding all that, and so it ended very badly. And the journey to my tendency is to want to be just liked and do anything I can to avoid anyone's disdain. And that certainly caused me to make some horrible decisions just regarding boundaries. In regard to business. I think also, since Mute Math came up in a form of the CCM community, Mute Math came out of, like, Earthsuit was fully a Christian band. And I hope that, forgive me if this is, talking too much about how the sausage is made, or if this is not okay to say, but I feel like the business of the CCM world is particularly predatory because it combines some of the worst parts of the music industry with some of the worst parts of American church, which has a certain multi-level marketing, toxic, manipulative quality to it. So like the business of music down there in Brentwood and Franklin, where I signed those contracts, can be particularly toxic. And I know a lot of men and women who have a similar story.
I was definitely signed to a CCM thing back in the day, and I can attest to some of that stuff. It's really hard when you're telling somebody, because you have business knowledge, and you're like, I don't want to sign this because of this thing in this contract. Oh, why don't you go home and pray about it? And I'm like, no, I prayed about it. God said no, I don't want to do this.
Yes, and there are good people. There are good people all around. It's mixed together. It's not simple.
No.
We can't say that all of it, but there are some wolves in sheep's clothing in the music industry. And they will act like they're your best friend. And I'm talking particularly about industry.
Industry people.
Folks. And looking back on it, I was so naive.
Same.
I was just so innocent. I was like, I'm gonna get to play drums, not in a church. Like I never dreamed past playing side stage at Cornerstone Fest. I think you retire after that, right? That's it for Schnell.
It's amazing.
And so there's been a journey of both, forgiving myself, and letting go of and mourning what could have been. Mourning how much better it could have been in so many ways.
Well, I will say just, to honor you, it's like any drummer, any musician I know in town who speaks of you speaks very highly and loves what you do, always has some sort of crazy story about seeing you live and doing your thing, or even just meeting you and how sweet and kind you are. I mean, there's a lot of industry people that I know that know you that say amazing things about you. So you carry a
Thank you.
reputation that is kind and loving and opposite of what you experience. So, you know, I love that. I love that.
Thank you. I mean, I've had to confront my own stuff though, man. I
Yeah.
think I realized that people who have bad boundaries for themselves oftentimes also don't know how to respect other people's boundaries. And
Yeah.
I think I've learned a lot about that. There's just something that happens to us. I'll speak for myself as a man
Yeah.
at the age of around 33. Whenever
Yeah.
you feel like you're in your prime and you need to crush it, and this is where
Yeah.
you're aim for yourself. And
Exactly.
now, where we freak out a little bit, and sometimes we can run over some people, right? You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
we can, and so I've had to take a good hard look at that and confront some,
Yeah.
you know, some of those regrets too. So that's all wrapped up. There was a moment like a year and a half ago where I was just cuddled up with my daughter, and out of the blue, she said, "Dad, that was real brave of you to quit your band."
Wow.
I was like, man, and also I should have to tell the story actually. Is like whenever I was talking with my wife and we were realizing like we're not going to make it as a marriage if I don't quit this band. We're like,
Yeah.
we're going to get divorced.
Yeah.
Stacey and I were arguing, and Scarlett walked into the kitchen, and she just looked at me. She's like, "Dad, I need you to slow down." She said that
Wow.
to me.
Wow.
I'm like, damn, okay.
Oh.
She was like 4 at the time.
Oh my gosh.
So to bookmark the journey of Dad, I need you to slow down, to Dad, that was brave of you to quit your band.
Yeah.
That's the story.
Well,
That's it.
and those girls,
I thought my story was something else, and it turned out to be that.
those girls see that sacrifice, I'm sure, and they'll remember that love and that sacrifice. And I feel the same way. It's like I don't want to sacrifice my family on the altar of music. It's not worth it. And so
Yeah.
it's good to see other men like you putting family first. I think that's important. So, dude.
Yeah, but I mean, you gotta be who you are too, though.
Yeah.
Like you're not gonna be anything to them if you stop being the Sam that makes songs, right?
It's true. It's true. I mean, that's what I love about my family. They celebrate me and they're so kind when things go well, and they let me do things like go out and play shows and whatever else. So it's awesome. But you know, balance, like you said, all in or all out. We both have to find those other places where it's like, okay, I'm a bit in and I'm a bit out, you know?
Can I just show you for a second before we part ways?
Yeah.
This beautiful group of people.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah, we're just out here, you know, camped out at the People's Plaza. I'm not gonna stay here tonight. I'm gonna go home and tuck my girls in. But I just wanted to show you.
Man, amazing.
Good vibes.
Yes.
Good vibes.
Bro, well, man, so good to chat
Here,
with you.
I'll run away from the. I can't hear you, so I'm gonna run away from the track again. I'm being chased. No, I'm just kidding.
Please don't get hurt.
I'm not gonna get arrested.
No, please don't. We don't need that.
Tomorrow I get to do my first drum session in it. I get to go to Blackbird and do a drum session.
Oh, awesome.
So for just one song for another artist. So that's my first time in a proper studio, since the first week of March. It's gonna feel so good.
Oh, bro,
fresh pants out of the dryer.
It's gonna be amazing. Bro,
So are we gonna get together and make a song sometime?
Yes, we will.
Right.
We will. We'll have to let everybody know when it happens.
Yes, we will.
Dude, well, thanks so
6
much
feet
for
apart.
being on here, man. Like you are inspiring. Your story is amazing. So
Thank you.
I appreciate it, bro. Thanks for making time.
Honored. Yeah,
all right.
It's always great to reconnect with my Scotch Irish.
That's right. I'll grow it out longer when we hang out. I'll grow it longer.
So yeah, Sam, great to get to talk with you. Honored.
Yes, you too, man. All right. Talk to you later.
All right, stay safe.
All right, bye.